Hi there, and thank you for tuning in. I promise we'll make it worth your while because we're going to be talking about something that impacts each and every one of your businesses, and that is marketing. Whether you're a brand new freelancer that can't even fathom having a marketing budget or a larger agency that has multi-millions of dollars to spend, the reality is that with digital marketing, there are so many different ways you can be spending your dollars. And we're going to be talking about how you can determine where best to spend those dollars and how to maximize your marketing budget, regardless of how big it may be. So my name is Courtney Symons. I lead the digital marketing side of the Shopify Partner program. And I've had the privilege of working with tons of different Shopify partners over the years and learning about the things that make their businesses succeed and also some of the challenges that they've faced. Every year we send a Shopify partner survey out to all of our partners, and kudos to any of you that have completed it for us. It really does help us make our business decisions every year, but one of the biggest challenges that our partners identify is finding new clients. And closely behind that is marketing your business, followed thirdly by variable cash flow. So we're going to be talking about each of those challenges today because they really do all relate to marketing. And to tackle each of those, I am very excited to announce that we have 4 of our seasoned Shopify partners who are willing to chat with us and share their experiences about tackling these very issues. So I'm super excited to introduce you to each of them. First of all, we have Melissa Gonzalez, who is the New York-based CEO and founder of Lioness Group, and she's also the author of The Pop-Up Paradigm, How Brands Build Human Relationships in a Digital Age. So welcome, Melissa.
Hi. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. We also have Michael Kashiulis, who is the founder of Smart Cookie Design Limited, and he's a London-based Shopify Plus partner that focuses on Shopify projects. Welcome to Michael.
Hey.
Thirdly, we have Robin Block, who is a consultant, author, and speaker. She combines the best of both traditional and digital media at Seattle-based Block Beta Marketing, and she's willing to share her more than 30 years of expertise with us. So welcome, Robin, and thank you.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. And lastly, we have Matthew Bertulli, who is the co-founder and CEO of DMAC Media in Toronto. He grew up around his family's retail business. He co-founded a compostable plastics brand and now runs a commerce agency of his own. So it's safe to say he's been deeply immersed in this world for his whole life. Welcome, Matthew, and again to all 4 of our speakers. Awesome. So we won't spend much time. I'd love to dive into the first topic, which naturally is just finding clients. So to keep it simple, what is the best way you've discovered to find new leads? And maybe we can start with you, Michael.
So finding new leads is something that we sort of tackle on a weekly, monthly basis all the time. It's sort of one of our key things that we're always trying to do. We've tried lots of things in the past, but one thing I can pick out on that's worked pretty well for us is actually running and hosting our own events. Focused on e-commerce or specifically Shopify in some cases. And we try and run an event at least once every quarter. And every time it will be based, we'll try and partner with different businesses that can offer knowledge to our potential clients that we can get into the room. Our events always focused on e-commerce, so we try and get as many e-commerce focused businesses attend our events, and it's less about self-promotion, but more about sharing knowledge. And
So now, are you going to be doing a couple of different
A little sound interruption. Sorry about that.
or is
Maybe we'll just pause for a quick sec while we figure we're all good? Cool. Sorry about that, Michael. You can continue.
not sure what happened there. Shall I just continue, or?
Yeah, no, feel free to. Why not?
We try and get lots of businesses that are e-commerce focused, attend the events. We partner up with other companies that may offer similar things that are valuable to our potential leads and clients. And it's not so much about self-promotion, more about passing knowledge. And then once our events are done, we then make sure we continue to follow up with those and send them information, post them to our blog, and things like that. And it's really great because we get to meet potential leads face to face, and we can really evaluate if they're the right fit for us and if it's worth us actually pursuing that particular client.
And what sort of structure have you found that works best with these types of events? Is it just networking? Do you have any presentations?
Yeah, so in our experience, it's never been sort of purely networking, it's been presentations. So it might be partnering with an SEO company who would do a 20-minute slot on best SEO practices for e-commerce stores or a specific topic like that, or social media marketing. And yeah, it's about parting with as much knowledge. So it's less about the networking, although there is an element of that pre and post the event, but more about actually getting speakers involved. And, and on top of that, it's not always just about running our own events, but putting ourselves out there to speak at other people's events, which takes away a lot of the hassle around getting your own leads to the event, managing a venue, etc. So that can also be a great way to get into the event space initially.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else have anything to add on that topic, or any other strategies you've found for finding leads? No, all good. Well, that is a really good strategy, and it's one that we've seen to be successful for a lot of different Shopify partners around the world. And actually, it is a great opportunity for anyone listening. If you're interested in hosting a Shopify meetup in your area, we'd love to help support that. So it's a great strategy. What's one of the craziest or most unconventional ways that you've ever found to find new leads? Maybe Melissa.
I mean, I wouldn't say that this is my strategy, but I think one of the more interesting places is where I met Cherry Redstone. It was in the restroom at the White House. So that's always a good story. She liked my dress, and then we had a chat about that. And by the end of the conversation, I had her business card. So I think the lesson there is always put your best foot forward, because regardless of the environment, you just don't know, who you're having the opportunity to speak to and where that could lead. And then, of course, if you're in the bathroom, wash your hands. That's
valuable advice for everyone.
Airplanes, too. Airplanes are awesome.
So I guess the key here is contain spaces.
Yeah, they can't go anywhere.
They're stuck with you. That's awesome. So Matt, maybe I'll ask you the next question. How do you decide how to allocate your marketing budget? How do you decide where is the most valuable place to be spending those dollars?
We're data first. So I guess the thing is we have a sales and marketing budget that's a percentage of revenue. We create 3 forecasts for a year, right? So we do yearly planning and then quarterly offsites to run our business. The yearly plan typically has 3 forecasts, a mid, and a max. So case, most likely, worst case. And then sales and marketing, the budget gets backed out of the most likely case. So that's just the big bucket, right? So let's say you have $1 million to spend on everything. Then what we do is look back at any historical data we have, did particular channels generate a lot of leads for us? What was the value of those leads? So quantity of leads is really not what you're going for. At least not what we're going for. We're going for a very specific customer profile. So looking at by channel, a channel could have given us 1,000 leads that might have been good for somebody else's business. But this other one gave us 3 that turned into deals, right? And big ones and long-term value. So for us, it's some historic. I'm okay, we'll try a few new things this year. We burn a lot. We try a lot of different stuff. So we're burning a lot, and we're okay burning a lot because we do have things that we just know work. But I think that's a key thing is you don't know until you try, right? But we're very tactical about it, almost to a boring state.
That's awesome. Well, I think that dovetails nicely into the next topic I would love to tackle, which are sort of specific marketing tactics. So, obviously the end goal is to be finding those qualified clients, but there is value in building out awareness and building a brand and making sure you're filling up your pipeline with people that maybe eventually will become your clients. So let's talk about some specific tactics. And to begin with, I think that we often talk about successes in marketing and campaigns that go well, but I would love to hear if any of you have a story to share about a campaign that just spectacularly flopped and just performed really terribly. I wonder if there's any lessons learned that you can share with other partners from any campaigns that just didn't go as planned.
Oh, I got a good one for you.
Awesome.
Pretty much any large-scale industry event sucks.
And why do you think that
like
is?
the IRCEs, I mean, like the people at IRC are going to shit out saying this, but like anything where there's 10,000 people and 1,000 of your competitors and it's a Shark Tank. It's just, if you're having to ask the question about like, where should I spend my money? That's probably not the right place.
That's
right?
a good question.
So like we've tried it and it's like you spend $30, $40 or $50,000 and you get nothing from it.
So you think
And
it's
like,
better?
what a waste of cash.
So sorry to interrupt you, but so you're saying you think it's better to have sort of your own controlled space, maybe more like a Michael strategy of your own event where you own the audience.
Like we do that too, and it's just building community is just an awesome way to get yourself out there, especially if you're like going in value first. So like creating knowledge and or like sharing, parting. That's you're giving more than you're asking for. I think that particularly in the Shopify world, that works beautifully. The big like trade show thing I'm talking about as just it's embarrassing how much money I've spent in those channels and got nothing from it.
Right. So maybe it works for some kind of businesses, but just not yours.
Certainly not for us.
That's awesome.
Or we suck at it. That's okay too. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe other people have strategies for how to better make the most of that. But I also do want to address, I know there's some sounds going on, so I hope you guys can all hear us okay. Everything's good?
I can, yeah.
Awesome. Good stuff. So naturally, not everybody has a massive marketing budget. If you want to get the most for your money, what are some really impactful ways that you've found to be spending those dollars? Maybe we'll go to Michael.
Yeah, so there's various ways we've tried in the past, but sort of going back to what Matt said, it's not about sort of reaching as many people as possible, but really focusing our marketing strategy on a real specific amount, a very specific, tailored type of person that we really think that we can build a strong relationship with, and that's a really strong lead for us. So, I mean, we hear a lot about, having a low cost per click all the time, and, that's great in sort of the online ads world. But when we sort of look at marketing offline, we sort of try to flip that on its head and actually, let's not go for the lowest cost per click, but actually let's target the fewest people possible and actually go for a maximum spend on those people. So rather than taking, our small marketing budget and spreading it across 1,000 businesses and 1,000 leads, we actually try and really get our databases down to a really small number of businesses and then actually spend much more money on trying to reach those. And by doing that, we can create a marketing campaign that's going to have a bigger impact on those fewer leads. And what we found is that really increases the chances of us actually building a relationship going forward from there. So especially on offline marketing, we try and stay away from targeting the maximum people as possible and going for that sort of lowest cost per click or lowest cost per interaction. We try and spend as much money on a few amount of people. And we've seen that's really worked well. So rather than sending them a load of leads, a letter or a small promotional brochure or something, we'll send them a box full of some creative stuff that they're going to open up on their desk and they're going to go, wow. And and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but we found that really increases our chance of converting those people.
That's awesome. So it really is the quality over quantity seems to be a theme for everyone. Melissa,
Yeah, if I can chime in, I just wanted to reiterate that on the curation. I think it's so important, whether you're paying for it or you're creating, organic earned media. You don't need to be on all platforms. Really understand where your target audience is and invest in properly communicating with them on those channels. And also really make sure that you're curating yourself. What is the voice that you want to have? What kind of thought leadership are you trying to convey? And I also think by targeting, for me, it's LinkedIn and Twitter, I can go deeper within those channels and be more effective versus just trying to blanket and be everywhere.
That's awesome.
I think it all goes back to having a really good strategy. And services businesses are very different than product businesses, which we deal with our merchants all the time. So, of course, it's never going to be about volume. It's about really knowing who your target is and having the right product for that target and making that messaging fit between the two.
Excellent. So, Robin, we can't really talk about marketing without talking about content marketing, as it's such a massive part of the digital marketing realm these days. What are some of the biggest lessons that you've learned when it comes to content marketing?
Have a good visual and a good headline.
It's as simple as that. How do you choose what a good visual is or a good headline?
I mean, it's a little bit bigger than that, of course, right? Like every content marketer will tell you, it's about having a platform, which means really communicating what your value prop is through that platform. What is your point of view about that? And not being afraid to kind of own that point of view. I went to a talk last night at a place called Town Hall, and there was this woman who wrote some book about being a badass not marketing, but badass money person or something. And to be honest, the content really wasn't that valuable, but she was authentic to people. And that authenticity really struck a chord. And if you're trying to build community, you have to find a way to strike that chord.
And so do you think that it needs to be, either a domain or an event that you own, or is there merit to writing for third-party blogs as well and establishing yourself as an expert?
Well, I think you need to do both. I mean, one, writing for a third party, that falls more into the PR realm, getting them to publish about you. Self-publishing is more the content realm. I think there's a real difference between those, and they each have their pros and cons. On the PR side of things, you're going to leverage a much bigger audience than your own, unless you really have a big audience, of course. But it's a way to build awareness with people who don't know you. And then the other content piece is really to build kind of that engagement and connection with people who already know who you are. So they each have their roles to play. And, there's a lot of words that get bandied about in marketing. And at the end of the day, it's about building exposure and then creating engagement, right? So you always have to play that game. Now, it doesn't mean you can't have content that really communicates your core platform. So you really want to nail your strategy and your messaging first, and then build on that so you stay consistent. And to be honest, creating content that's good, that really breaks through, is extremely challenging. So I wouldn't put all my eggs in the content basket, because there might be lower hanging fruit, like one takes so much time. Whereas if you can get to an event where you're a speaker that already has a devoted following, where you don't have to build the event even and spend all that time, that can give you a much quicker return. So you really have to weigh, like when you're allocating your budget, it's not really about money as a budget as much as time or internal resources that you devote. And you want to make sure that you're not only thinking about what gives you the biggest bang for the buck, but what is the least time investment to achieve it.
Good point. Melissa, I know you also have a lot of experience in the content marketing world, being an author. Do you have anything to add?
Sure. I mean, I always go back to the curation, and I do think it's a blend of writing content for yourself and then writing content for other sites, so that you can cross-market into their channels. But writing is time consuming, as you said. I mean, to write a quality piece and you don't want to saturate the content that you put out so much that you're never saying anything valuable either. So you really have to pick and choose when you pick a third-party site. Think about, how long is this going to take to be effective? Is there going to be an audience reading this that is going to drive traffic to me that I need? It has to be a two-way street of value. And then on your own marketing, think about your platforms too. So for instance, LinkedIn is huge for me as a writing platform, much stronger than me writing on my own blog. So I usually publish first there, and then maybe a couple of weeks later, I'll put it on our site as published first on LinkedIn. So just understanding, how you're spending your time and how each one of them could potentially benefit you, I think is a really important part of the strategy.
Awesome. Well, I'd love to move along to our third topic, which is our sales funnel. So, making sure that you're building up a pipeline that is reliable, can maybe help with that variable cash flow issue. Maybe we'll start it off with Matt. I'd love to hear how, you've already said that you guys are very data-driven. How are you actively tracking your leads? And feel free to list any tools or strategies that you guys are using.
Yeah. Okay. I'll unload here.
Please do.
We've, I got a whole team of people that does this. So I have a shitload of data, and we track everything. So we have, I think it's about seven active stages that a lead moves through: from initial lead, marketing qualified, sales qualified, initial scope, strategy, proposal sent, negotiation, deal one, however many that was. That's our funnel, right? We have a lot of steps. we're big into content marketing ourselves. We actually get a high volume of contacts. 98% of them are garbage in terms like they're just not our customer, right? They're just coming in to get something from us. We're cool with that. It's the 2% we're after. So our sales funnel has a lot of steps. One is measured, two that we actually track weekly. One is a pretty big leading indicator, which is marketing qualified leads. So for all the people that we get, that we talk to, how many of them actually, based on a bunch of questions, how many of them is marketing signing off as qualified? That's KPI number one. That's every Monday morning, 10 a.m. We look at that on one of our scorecards. That tells us if we have a number that we need on a weekly basis, make sure that our pipeline is full. And if the pipeline is where it needs to be on the stage, we know that we'll have the business, which will have the cash flow. Everything is good after that. So MQL is the first most leading indicator. The lagging is sales booked. So sales booked is any contract signed, whether it's from an existing customer or a new customer. That's the second KPI that we look at. And that's a bit of a lagging in terms of how the business is doing in generating new business, but it's a bit of a leading in telling operations and delivery that, hey, there might be a wave of work coming your way, right? And now they would have signed off on that in the process, but it's a bit of a reminder saying like, oh shit, we just signed a $500,000 deal. Get ready, guys. It's coming down in the next 6 weeks. Does that help?
Yeah, it does help. I don't know if any of that resonates with the rest of you, or if you have any other strategies or tools that you all use to be sort of tracking the effectiveness of the leads you are bringing in.
Yeah, we've moved into a similar way to how Matt runs it as well, in terms of really tracking our leads and creating a really detailed sales funnel. I mean, we used to be really poor at doing this, and we used to, looking back about probably 2.5 years ago, we just used to use an Excel spreadsheet on a very basic level. And I thought that was all right. But then actually, when you move into a proper CRM system, you can really reap the benefits. So we currently use Untitled, although there's a host of others. And by actually moving to an actual CRM system and managing our leads from the moment of that first conversation up until the contract is signed, it's really helpful, not just for managing how much work you're going to be getting in, but actually seeing, where you're failing, at what level, what part of your sales funnel are people dropping off at, and then you can go and examine that a bit further, and you can really investigate it. And that's the kind of information you can get from using a good CRM system, where you can't get from just using an Excel spreadsheet. So if anyone's still just using an Excel spreadsheet, I'm sure there are people that are. Definitely look into investing into a CRM system and making the most out of it, because that can really help tracking your leads and increasing your conversion rates.
Yeah, I think the whole CRM thing is interesting, because your funnel should, like, for us, we got a lot better at it once the steps of the funnel lined up with the buying cycle of the ideal customer that we're using, right? And instead of just like what we want them to go through and how we want them to progress, it's like, the average deal is going to take 90 days to close. What happens in that 90 days? And then that became our funnel, right?
That's the marketing way, looking at what
Yes.
the customer, like looking outside yourself and not being marketing myopic,
Yeah.
and trying to parallel what the customer wants to do and think about the psychographics around making those purchase decisions, and then feeling what pieces or what content or what type of content is going to drive people down that funnel.
Yeah.
I use Insightly as well. I found it to be fairly easy to use, low cost. There are a couple of things I would fix in it, but there is no perfect tool.
Yeah, I'm knee deep in HubSpot. I unfortunately can't get away from them. I think we're 6 years in them now. It's just not happening.
It's better than an Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, Matt, you'd mentioned that of your 98% of leads that come in, maybe only 2% of those are, actually going to turn into clients. How do you choose which leads to prioritize, and what special attention do you pay to them that you wouldn't pay to the rest? Anybody can answer that one.
Yeah. So part of qualification is we have a standard list of questions and topics that we're looking to ask. So somebody on our marketing team will reach out and ask those questions. Usually it's a phone call. Like if we look the company up and they look like a real boy, then Pinocchio reference, then we will reach out. But I think we've refined that list over the years, right? So ultimately, like what I'm going for is a score. Like what I really want is like each question is worth a point or a negative point, and you wind up with like this is an 8 out of a 12 or whatever that is. We're not there yet. We'll get there soon. The process is nailed down. Now it's just putting numbers against it. But I think that that's really important. Otherwise, like if you actually build the marketing machine and you do a good job of it, then you're going to create a whole other problem, which is now you got too many people to talk to. Like I would love it if I only ever had that 2% just self-qualify and call us, because then I didn't have to employ all these people and all this software to figure out who they are. That's the ideal, like for sure. It doesn't
The dream world. Well, so one last question. Obviously not everyone who ever comes on as a lead will lead to anything, but can anyone share a campaign you've run where you've been able to nurture those leads and maybe turned an unlikely lead into a client?
I can go.
Why not?
Why not? Sorry. So leads, sure. Like putting them into workflows. That's a given. I'll share like one tactic that works quite well for us. Not everybody wins everything, right? So when we lose deal, we put those people into another workflow where over the next like 6 months to a year, we actually drip them content that either I've written or somebody else. It's like, hey, we thought this might be valuable to you. So there's like a couple different workflows that we can set up, like one for manufacturers or brands, one for multi-brand retailers, one for information marketers, like whoever the profile is. I find the top of mind thing once you've lost a deal has actually brought customers back to us. 6 months here. In one case, we actually had a really large customer come back 2.5 years later.
Oh, wow.
Because they kept opening those emails.
Can I add to that?
Yeah, please do.
I think you should always be harvesting if a lead isn't good right now, because people have different needs at different times, and a lot of times they're just investigating, and it can be a very long cycle for them, whether it's budget dependent or just the stage of business, or they started working with somebody and they found that they weren't a good fit. That can happen quite a lot in our business. So you should always be harvesting, looking at old leads, asking existing clients for referrals or reviews even. Just always try to be surfacing more leads out of existing people who already know you, because they're halfway down the funnel already.
Yeah.
Look into that and take advantage of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
It's not always just filling the top of the funnel.
Right. Well, and on that note, I'd love to just throw it out to each of you one more time. If there's any advice you have for a Shopify partner that's watching this that maybe doesn't have a lot of money to spend, if there's any final advice you have for them that we haven't yet shared.
Productize and focus on having a specific niche you're trying to address, because you can't cover everything, and this way you can go narrow and deep.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that for us, referral marketing has been one of the strongest leads for us and highest conversion rate. So, as much as you can foster your existing relationships and have those be referrals to you, cost nothing but time, right, I think can be really important for a service-oriented business.
Excellent. Good stuff. Michael, any parting words, or in Matt?
Partnerships are really important for us. So creating the right partnerships with the right people that have similar that aren't competitive to us, but reach the same type of customer base. And then what we found was when we start getting lots of leads in, it can take a lot of time to actually work out which ones are right for us. So what we started doing, which we didn't used to do, was asking for the budget up front. And that can really help in terms of stop you wasting your time on a lead that actually isn't a good fit for your business. And we never used to ask that question before so early on, but now it's one of the first questions we ask, and then we can really, work out if that lead's worth all our time and efforts initially. So definitely partnerships and asking for budgets up front.
Awesome.
I think Melissa nailed it earlier. It's like pick a channel and own it, right? Like pick one thing, go all in and go deep there. Instead of like, if you're short on budget, and hopefully you have time to make up for budget, then spend your time in one place. Make sure that's like really strong before you move on to the next one. I mean, ultimately, we're all trying to get our business to a point with multiple channels that are bringing you in business, like multiple things that you can farm and nurture. None of us start there. That's what we're working towards. So for us, I think like focus on one thing that bears fruit, go deep enough in that before you try and use it as leverage in another channel. It's so too many, right? And it's so easy to get distracted. So I like what Melissa said. I'm totally stealing that.
I'm okay with that. You can have it. We'll share it. We'll share it.
Perfect.
That's right. That's what this is all about. Well, thank you to all four of you for being here. Thanks again to Melissa Gonzalez, Michael Casciulis, Robin Block, and Matthew Bertulli. Really appreciate you sharing those insights with us. Thank you again. And so for everyone listening, it's great to hear about this. Hopefully you've learned a little bit, but it is important to take it home with you and implement this in what you're doing every day. And sort of a parting gift that I can give to you is that not only do we do a partner survey every year, we also send a survey to our Shopify merchants. And this is a list of barriers, I hope you can see my slides, that Shopify merchants express when they actually open a store. And the largest one for them is finding loyal customers. So that's an opportunity for you all. We've just been talking about how to find clients. You can kind of pass on that expertise to them and help them find customers of their own. And secondly is finding the time to dedicate to their businesses, which is phenomenal because each of you can provide not only your time, but your expertise to help them solve those problems. So I hope you view each of those problems as a potential opportunity for each and every one of your businesses. And also, we just released a new guidebook that I hope you'll find some value in. It's called Finding Clients, Building a Solid Portfolio Website. It's just one of many guides that we'll be launching throughout the year that deal directly with the challenges and opportunities that our Shopify partners have shared with us that you'd like to learn more about. So go to shopify.com/partners/guides to download your copy, and there'll be lots more coming on that site as well, so stay tuned. So thank you again to our four panelists and for everyone who listened in. I'm so glad we got the opportunity to spend this time together, even if it wasn't in San Francisco, but from all of your respective corners of the globe. I appreciate your time, and thanks again to everyone. Have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.